This episode of Zaboca contains mature content and obscene language. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. I had I had started recording this. I had 30 minutes and there was all of a sudden a discrepancy. Perhaps the universe does not want me to talk about this. You're not ready. Maybe you're not ready. In the initial planning to do this episode, I wrote something that was really, poignant and sharp, and it was really flowery. To say the least, it was fucking flowery. And today, when I made a decision to record this episode, I cried. I cried, I cried, I cried. Long tears, wet face, snotty nose. And I'm actually able to record this now simply because my mother isn't home. Um, but yeah, this is a really emotional topic for me because I have literally never talked about it in the way that I'm going to talk about it ever. I have mentioned this situation. I have made jokes from the situation. I have created art from the situation. And if anybody has ever seen me throw clothes off a balcony on YouTube, that's what I did with the pain and the anguish and the trauma of this relationship. I channeled it into art. I channeled it into telling jokes about the entire situation and just like telling a really cool, entertaining story. And someone seeing me do that and say, "Hey, we want to film that. We want we want that character. We want her." Um I cannot promise that I will not completely break down during this recording. I make no promises. I make no promises. That being said, I was in an emotionally abusive relationship for 2 years. I have said that out loud before. I have made comments about it in different spaces, including the Zaboca space. Um, and I think the reason why I've never really delved into it is because I've literally still been dealing with the trauma from those 2 years. Um, I also want to prefix this entire thing by saying that me and this person are not on good terms. I don't fuck with him in no way at all. I wish him the best. I wish him immense happiness far the fuck away from me. I will get to why later in the episode. An additional prefix is that he and I never sat down and had a conversation about being in a relationship. Meaning, he and I never say, "Well, I am your boyfriend and I am your girlfriend and we in a relationship." We never had that discussion. We never had that conversation. It never happened, guys. That conversation never took place. There was what I guess was an understanding in inverted commas that we talking, we dating, and we did do that for 2 years. Yeah. I also want to put in here as well too that I completely understand my role in the relationship. I have taken responsibility and accountability for my role in the relationship, for the things I did and I said and that I allowed, I have accepted, and I have taken accountability for. I shouldn't say accepted. I don't think accepted is the word. I have acknowledged these things and I have taken accountability for them. You know, that being said, how the ass I end up in a 2 year relationship or situationship with some dude who I didn't fucking know from no way. So we meet in 2011, I want to say, because we didn't really start talking until 2012. And that just, I can't remember how it moved from face to face to Facebook to phone numbers and hanging out. I have blocked it out and I can't remember. I have an excellent memory, long term memory. Like my long term memory is pretty good, and I remember details of things in my life that, sometimes people be like, "Oh God, I can remember that." Yes, I remember that. However, when it comes to the shift with this relationship, I have no clue how things move from Facebook to in person. Can't remember. Anyway, so it did. It moved and it shifted and it became this thing, and he was this guy that I was dating, and it initially started off as like he would say things like don't forget to message me when you reach home, or message when I reach your work, and so yeah, that turned into a thing, like that whole check-in shit. Listen, if I tell y'all the number of arguments and disagreements about checking in I have had in my lifetime, you'd be like, whoa, like, yes. I have discussed so many ways um about how to check in and when to check in, that now listen, I don't want to even check in a hotel. That's where I'm at. So yeah, um it's so it's not strange. My relationship before this relationship, the relationship I had with my first boyfriend, um was one of the best relationships I've ever been in. He was not perfect, but he was damn near well near. Damn near well perfect. Damn well near? Yeah. You'll get it. And I say that to say that he was emotionally intelligent. He would let me know upfront, like, yo, Tyke, like, what you're doing right now is upsetting me in a way that I don't feel is constructive. And we need to take a pause. We need to take a moment. Like, we need to, like, just, or A, right now you sounding like you vex. And you vex with me? No, I never vex with you. Okay, cool. Well, then when you calm down and you cool off, send me a message and I'll call you back. Or you could call me when you ready. And so, having had that experience, I was spoilt fucking rotten. Like, spoilt. Like, really fucking spoilt. Because coming out of that, and entering something where somebody just is not emotionally intelligent, has no clue how to communicate properly, how you just do that. Also that whole taking a breath, taking a breather, that we walk away from it and this and like think about it and then come back and discuss it, as opposed to I need to solve this shit now, we need to solve this shit now, and boom 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 boom. And I am by nature a really introspective person, so I I need to sit with it for a minute. I need to think about it. I need to process it. And here I am in this thing with this person who don't fucking get it at all. Don't understand that sis need a moment to just work shit out in she brain, and like yo um and there were many times where we would be on the phone like 2 o'clock in the morning because he have all this stuff that he wants to get off his chest, and I just on the phone just listening because I still trying to process the initial argument. And if I do respond or do answer, like he going off on a, a whole tip, and that fucked me up like in a big way. Like that messed with my head like so bad. And like now is like, yo, I so serious about that processing thing. I literally do that with everybody. Like, yo, like I need to process this shit. Give me a moment. Let me, and I'm now able to articulate it without fear. Cause at that point in time I would say it like, hey, no, I need to think about this, whatever. But he would come in with that, nah, we have to deal with this. No, we have to deal with this. No, because if we don't deal with this, no, I go can't sleep. I go can't sleep. Yeah, dog, but we dealing with it now, causing, me not to be able to sleep after you going to fucking bed because you've dealt with it, because you need it instantly, and you don't give a fuck that I need to process and I need to. You don't care. You don't give a shit. And I know the question is gonna be, so Tyke, why did you just didn't leave? I did leave on several occasions. I did walk away from the relationship. I did say, yeah, this is it for me. Fuck away with that. Fuck away with he. I was it as a single girl. I was in the streets. I doing this. But I did have a thought in my mind that, you know what? I will be the one to save him. I will be the one to champion him on. I will be the one who he will change for. And we know that that is bullshit. We know. We know. Don't we know it? We know that shit. That don't work. That's not reality. If somebody wants to change, they will fucking change. You can't change nobody. Except your damn self. So, that was a mistake. Of course, we know what our lesson, right? I ain't doing that shit. Um, sorry. I ain't doing that shit anymore. Cause we learned. Um, and yeah, it's just that was one of the things as well too for me. And that relationship had in it a lot of embarrassment and a lot of shame attached to it. I will admit to being embarrassed to standing next to him. And I know that comes from a really, initially from a really um, horrible place in that he is shorter than me. And it's just really weird for me being a tall girl with a short guy like that. Just don't look aesthetically pleasing for me. As in, I do look good with a short man, a man shorter than me. In my head. I understand that that has a whole sort of connotation with it, but that's just how my brain is wired. My brain is wired for a man my height or a man taller than me. I'll work it out in therapy. I'll work it out. I'll get to a point eventually where aesthetics don't may not matter. I was about to say don't matter, but I don't know what the future holds. Neither do y'all. So, and also Zaboca is a judge-free zone. So, okay. Um, So yeah, so there was that like physical aesthetic embarrassment of like we don't look proportionate together. And also I felt like I was way out of his league, and I knew it. And the embarrassment came from a sense of I really shouldn't be in a relationship with this person because he's definitely not my type. He don't look nothing like what I like. So what am I doing? What am I doing? And the shame came from the going back. Yeah, the shame came from the going back because it was just like, well, you and he done, right? Yeah, 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 we done. And then 2 weeks later, we back, we back. And also, like, I couldn't deal with the back and forth with my friends, and I just isolated myself from lots of friendships at that point in time as well too. And I did not communicate with my friends about exactly what was happening with me because I felt like the answer would always be, hey, Tyke, you could leave, you could walk away. And so I went through a lot of angst and a lot of shit and a lot of abuse and a lot of things without saying anything to anybody because of the shame that was attached to it. Um, and when you don't feel to even talk to your best friends about what the fuck you're experiencing simply because you're ashamed, then you're in an abusive situation. And it doesn't have nothing to do with, well, like man and woman business, so don't get in that. No. If you feel ashamed to talk about a relationship where you are loved and appreciated, and the person you're with is grateful for you and for your support and all that, then you shouldn't feel no way to talk to your best friend about that shit. Something is wrong if you can't talk to your best friend about that. And how, I mean, how does it get from being, cordial and hey, like, just let me know when you reach home, to you didn't call me, who were you fucking? You didn't message me, who were you sleeping with? Were you with that guy who you're in that show with? Because the belief was that I was having sex with people. Now, I could say very candidly that I was not. After my first relationship, first serious relationship, first sexual partner, I did not have a partner for 2 years until this guy. And I will also mention that we did not have sex until the very end of our relationship. The very end. And that's because it was an ego thing. But we'll get to that point. Um, so there's that shame that was attached there. There's that embarrassment as well too, but also like a fear of I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. I don't know what's going to pop off. I have no clue. And I don't want no shit popping off while I with people who I like, or people who I check for, or people who I respect, like mentors and thing in the industry. I no, I don't want that. I remember there was a incident. I was with a friend of mine at the time, and she was doing a favor for one of my mentors in theater, and the mentor turned up and he was like, "Hey, how you doing, Tiger?" Da, 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 da. And we having this really awesome, amazing conversation. And then dude gets there, sits in the gallery of the space that we're in. He says, "Good evening." He sits down outside in the gallery. I'm in the office with my friend and my mentor. And we having this conversation, da 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 da. And then we leave, and we're leaving and walking down the stairs, and my mentor is inside the room. My friend is next to me, and then dude is on the other side, and dude leans into me. Through his gritted teeth, he says, So you couldn't introduce me to the man?" And I was like, excuse? And what are you talking about? I'm so confused. When I come here and introduce me to the man, he goes off on a whole, like, a whole tangent. He goes off on a tangent and he is having an argument with me while I'm having a conversation with my friend as we walk along Arbiter Avenue. No cap. I mean, and he's so upset because I not having this argument with you while we walking in the road. We're not having an argument right now. And we walk along the avenue, walk to what was once levels, and he sits down outside opposite the road in a bus shed. And my friend and I go inside levels and eat sweet potato fries and drink beers, and we have a lovely evening. We have tambran, shadow bunny wings, and I order extra because I was just like, we outside. Why he didn't come inside in line? And I was like, I don't know. I buy something to eat. He sits down outside and waits until my friend and I finish hanging out at levels. I hand him the box and I say, have a good night. And he responds by saying, so that is it? You're gone? You're gone? Yes, because I'm not standing up on Arrowfield Avenue to have no argument with fucking you. It is not happening. I'm not doing that fucking shit. I'm not doing it. And at that point in time, it was just because I had done it so many fucking times. I had had so many arguments with you in the street. I don't want to do that shit today. I don't want to do it today. I don't want to do this with you today. There was an incident on Charlotte Street. I had a big bottle of water and one of those 2 liter things, 1 liter waters, and I was finishing it. I was healthy girl and trying to eat well and drink well, and I can't remember where we were coming from. I can't remember. We were at City Gate for some reason. I can't remember where we were coming from. I really can't. And I had my phone in my hand. I knew that. In retrospect, I know that we were obsessed about. There was upset about something. And I had my phone and I had my water. And we're walking up Charlotte Street, and he says to me, he wants my phone. Come off my phone. Come off your phone. Give me a phone. Give me a phone. And I was saying, I'm not giving you my phone. Like, why would I give you my phone? I'm not giving you my phone. And he then says, oh, give me some water. And I say, okay, cool, no problem. And I give him the water bottle. It's, almost finished or whatever. He walks ahead of me, and I'm no longer on the phone because, of course, I'm in the street and I have it in my hand, yes, but I'm not using it. And he walks ahead of me and he unscrews the cap. And as I'm walking walking in the same direction, walking up Charlotte Street, he turns and he throws the end of the water in my face. And so my face is wet, my glasses are wet, my shirt is wet, and I think my pants were wet as well. And I stop and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Because I didn't want to give you my phone. That's how you get on. I am mad. I'm mad at that point. I was upset before. I'm mad at this point. Because one, you're wasting good water. Two, you wet me. So you fucking wet me. Right? Okay, I'm mad now. Alright. I ain't say nothing. We walking. Cool. I take my glasses, I wipe them off from the side of my shirt. Da, 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 da. Cool, no problem. This is on Charlotte, below Queen. We're walking up the road, we're walking up the road. When we get to Prince, he starts asking me about the phone again. Why you don't want to give me the phone? Do you have something to hide? I ain't hiding nothing. Da 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 da. Verbal back and forth about this phone and give me the phone and I'm not giving you and da 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 da. My friend calls me at that point in time. And I answers and I say, hey, I'm Tong. Let me call you when I reach home. She says, okay, cool, because we want to link up this weekend. And I realized it wasn't on WhatsApp, so it wasn't any messages. I say, okay, cool, no problem. That's by Prince Street, crossing Prince Street. Continuing up Charlotte, approaching Duke Street, he gets more agitated. I'm also fucking pissed off because I'm wet. My shirt is soaking from the water that was just thrown on me 2 streets down, right? Okay. So we're approaching Duke and he says to me again, I want that phone. I will take that phone. And he grabs, the phone is in my hand, so he grabs hold of it. And I'm not letting go of my fucking phone. That's not what we're gonna do. We have crossed Duke at this point, so we above Duke on Charlotte, and he's like, give me the phone. I'm like, no, this is my device. Give me the phone, give me the phone, give me the phone. No, give me the phone, no. And I am pulling it away from him with such force that when he lets go of the phone and I pull at the same time, I go flying. When I say flying, because like flying along the road. I've fallen on my back and slid on damp Charlotte Street. There is gravel and pitch in my flesh. My arm, the back of my right arm is like white, man. Just cuts. And I'm bleeding. And I'm on the ground and my phone, just slid out of my hand. But didn't get any damage because I was holding on to it, so it just slid on the ground when I fell. It didn't fall. I fell. And when he realizes that I have fallen and I am bleeding and I have cuts and bruises, he leaves the pavement and he comes towards me, and with all the mad, I was mad and upset before. It is now I'm enraged now. So it's rage, and I scream at him to leave me the fuck alone. Get away from me. Don't fucking touch me. Bust it. And these men from my KFC on Duke Street run across. They run across to us and help me and grab him up and bundle him into a car, and they all leave, and Charlotte Street is as clear as it is these days with COVID. Empty. And I called one of my best friends and I was like, yo, Mella, come get me. And she and her boyfriend at the time leave home and come and get me. And she drives and we go to Bagans on Broadway. And her boyfriend says very little to me. He says, "You good?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know." And I bled all over his back seat. And I apologized profusely for doing that. And I cried my eyes out and I called my friend back who called me one earlier, and I was like, yo, like, this is what the fuck just happened. And as it there I done. But was I done? No. A month and a half later I was back there with that person. After that fall, that tussle on Charlotte Street, he called my phone almost 500 times. How do I know that he called me so many times? I let that shit ring. I let that shit ring and I let those missed calls pile up. He left so many voice messages and sent so many texts and called so many times that I got fed up of my ringtone. I still have I still have issues when my phone rings. Like too many times in a row. I hate when people call my phone too many times in a row. Because it takes me back to that. To this person who is so intent on absolving themselves of any responsibility. Because his the first call of his that I answered that night was him saying, I didn't hit you. I didn't hit you. Because he was scared that I would call the police on him and tell them that he hit me. So his concern wasn't that I was fine or I was home or nothing. It was, don't tell people I hit you because I didn't hit you. And he's right, he didn't hit me. He never hit me. He threw water at me. And I guess that's fine, right? Because water is dry, right? You didn't hit me. You didn't hit me in my face and give me a black and blue. But just grabbing my phone for whatever fucking reason. And I end up in a, like, almost in the fucking drain. I think the thing that pissed me off the most about that entire thing was his sister. In between all the 400 calls or whatever, um, his sister called me. His sister called me to apologize on his behalf. I'm thinking about this now. It's not the fucking laugh. she called me to apologize on his behalf, to say that I should answer his calls because he real sorry. I should answer his calls because he real sorry that we fall out. And then she says to me, you gotta understand, that is how he is. That is how he does get on. In case you missed it, let me say it again. You gotta understand, that is how he is. That is how he does get on. I have to understand. I have to. Wait, what? Your own family coddling you, absolving you, not explaining to you that you have to take accountability for your fucking bullshit. Your family telling me that that is how you is. Yeah. I had to understand. That's what she told me. It wasn't the only time that he did that million goal thing. But yeah, the million goal thing was a scene, and there was this whole acceptance of that behavior by his entire family, that now it's just like wow. um there were times that we had like real fun. There were times where we had belly busting, laughing moments, and there were days when we were good, and there were days when we weren't so good, and then there were days when we were fucking horrible. um there's days when I would just, to test it out, I would just, let me see where you at, and I would enlisted the assistance of some unsuspecting guy who asks to go out, and I'm like, yeah, I'm single. Remember, we never had the conversation of you're my boyfriend, I'm your girlfriend. Remember? And I could always play that card. Remember? Remember that. And so yeah, we not official. I could date people. And just to test it out. Just to test it out. It's horrible behavior. Really horrible behavior. Because then you're also putting other people at risk and in danger of some jackass who don't know how to control himself. When I think about it, I think about all the things that it taught me. I think about how there's certain behaviors now that I don't accept. from anybody, from friends, from people I date, from relationships. Like there's certain shit that I just not going to let fly, dog. Like you ain't gonna disrespect my friends and I be cool about it. Like that is nothing. That is nothing. The checking is one thing, the obsessive checking is something else. The need to control, the need to be in control at all times of another person. There are a whole host of things that I experienced in that human relationship that affect me to this day. Um, and it's not because I've not dealt with it in therapy or by myself. Um, because I will admit that I haven't been to therapy in a while. Um, but because it didn't end at the end of the relationship. It didn't end there. You know, I walked away from that in the beginning of 2014 and or like April 2014, and since then I think maybe twice a year I have had to deal with the bullshit of that individual. And I think twice is the least amount. You know, I have been threatened since the end of that relationship. I have been told, um, I used to move. You see how I used to move over? I did I love you. I was in love with you. That is why I used to move the way I used to move. And in the same breath, in the same conversation, I wish I'd never meet you. I hope you die. Like same things, you know. So, and if it wasn't messages like that, it was messages like, I hope you and your man good. I I don't know what man he was talking about. Maybe he knew about people I was dating. I don't know. That his knowledge was none of my business. Um, you know, there's also times when I'll be walking in the street and he would be on the same street and he would be on the other side of the road and he would scream my name. And the most recent incident of that was in the beginning of 2020 during Carnival. And it happened while I was working. And I was working and I was in costume and I was in a public space and a client was nearby and he attempted to embarrass me, you know, and I don't give any fuel to the fire. I don't respond. I don't comment. I don't even look in his direction. Because I've always felt, you know, since the end of it, that if I respond, I give it power. And I don't want to do that. So I've just not. And I have had to do the thing of, you know, we going out and I need to tell my partner, I need to tell my friend, or I need to tell somebody, hey, I have a crazy fucking ex, a crazy guy that I used to deal with who thinks that he has some sort of claim or ownership that he feel he could ball out my first name and last name in the road because he was the bedroom on them and he wants to make it seem like if he fucking important. He wants a rise out of me because he want we to fight. He want us to go mano a mano. You understand? He want to go full toe to toe with me in an all out brawl. Because that could be the only reason why you feel the need to do the fucking shit you be doing. Just saying. Um, there is also a sense of uneasiness because even in a public space, if I'm there, and you are, if he's in the same space, I don't know what the fuck you gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. So there's also that anticipation of bullshit that gives me this unsettled feeling if I'm in a space and that person is in the space as well. I'm not his friend. I'm not cool with him. I don't fuck with him. Don't fucking call me. Don't message me. Don't call me on Instagram. Like, don't. And I have the individual blocked and stuff. But social media is one thing and in person is another. And that's just the reality. Um Out of that relationship, I learned so much about myself. I learned I don't fuck with the word compromise. I don't like it. I don't believe in it. I don't think anybody should be compromising anything at any point for anyone. Um, because in that relationship, I compromised a lot. And definition of compromise is that one person loses and one person wins. That's, that's the dictionary definition of compromise. And in compromising, I lost pieces of myself. I gave away pieces of myself. Because in the compromise, I want to make sure you good, regardless of how I feel. Like those 3 a.m. arguments where I would acquiesce and say, yeah, I cool, I good. And he cool and he good and he calm down. And you want to have phone sex? Cool, no problem. And you go to sleep. And I up 3 o'clock in the morning. And I wrestling with my thoughts. I wrestling with my anger. I wrestling with my rage. And a lot of the time I would take out that frustration and that anger and that rage on the person closest to me, and that's my mother. And there's incidents during that time where I so mad and upset and seething that the smallest thing tripped me off and I gone off of my mother, gone all the way off, and I learned that I have the capability to be a fucking hurricane. A hurricane. Because I have all this stuff, this negative energy being dumped on me. And I'm putting it nowhere, holding on to it and bottling it up. And then you come and tell me what washing the wares? Excuse? Blows all the way up, dog. All the way. And it registered and it clicked with me a couple weeks before I walked away from the relationship. And exactly 2 weeks, like 2 weeks, like on the dot, on the nose. We had an argument the Friday, I remember, because I used to teach children on a Saturday morning, from 9 to 12, and I love my children. Any child I've ever taught, any teenager, anybody I've ever taught, I have a special love and appreciation and gratitude for anybody I've ever taught, especially children. And he and I argued the Friday into the Saturday morning. So from like 9 o'clock the night, he going and talking and dumping all his shit, all his stuff, all his negative vibes, all his negative energy, all his trauma, all his unresolved shit, all his family garbage, all that shit, dumping it on me in this argument. And at 3 o'clock the morning, or a little after 2 or something like that, conversation was over. He was sleeping, snoring on the phone, and I put the phone on mute because I knew if I hung up the phone he would wake up. I put the phone on mute, I plugged in the phone, and I stared at the ceiling for hours. Roosters crowed, the sun rose, I got up, I took a shower, got myself ready, and I went to the theater space. I prepped my class, I put on my boxes, put out scripts, put out costumes, put everything, right? And during class that morning, there was an altercation between two of the students. And it was only when I saw them staring at me, all of them staring at me, looking at me like almost as if I was going to eat them, I realized I need to send everybody on break, because this voice came out of my mouth, a voice that I did not recognize as my own. It was some Wizard of Oz shit, man. This voice, like, it come from my big toe. It was this booming, rage-filled voice to get those two students to stop playing the ass, to focus, and to stop being mean to each other, and stop the tussle. And all of the children, there was about 10 of them, they all looked at me like, oh my god, Auntie Psych is gonna eat us. I sent them all on break, and I told them, I said, take your lunch kits all outside. I said, the theater is out of bounds. I closed the door, and I went to the bathroom, and I sat in the toilet and I cried. I cried my eyes out for that 10 minutes of their 15-minute break. And I cried and I cried and I cried, because I could not believe that all this stuff that he had dumped on me, that morning, was now affecting my work. And I yelled at my children. I yelled at them. Like, what the fuck, my guy? You know what I mean? And while I was sitting in that bathroom, coming to terms with the fact that I had just yelled at the people that I literally loved the most at that point in time in my life, I literally loved them more than I loved myself, and I just yelled at them. No. We can't have that. We can't have that. And so when When they came back in from break, um, I sat them all down in a circle and I sat with them and I apologized to each of them. First name, last name. I apologize. I don't even know if they remember that, but I remember it. And it was like this turning point for me. It was this moment of realizing that I was allowing this person who clearly didn't give a shit about me to affect the thing that I loved the most. And that's why I always say, theater saved me. Those children saved me because I realized that they had to have that tussle that morning. Because they had that tussle, that scary voice from wherever it came from was supposed to scare me back to myself, for me to realize that, hey, this thing with this person is changing you. You are becoming somebody that you do not recognize. You have to get out of this thing. And you have to stay out. You can't come back to this thing. You can't. You can't come back here at all. Because if you come back, if you go back to that thing, it will completely destroy you. You see, you can't recognize yourself right now. If you go back to that thing, it will completely destroy you. Realizations about him from that relationship, I realized that a lot of the things that I was doing intentionally or unintentionally, or things I was aware of or things that I was unaware of, were reminding him of the challenges that he had in his life. His feeling of abandonment, his feelings of loneliness, his feelings of neglect from his family and from his parents. And also there were things that, based on my line of work and his psychological tapes, would have been read as, she's going out there and doing the same thing my parents is doing. Because my parents says that when they go to work, they really having affairs. They really sleeping around. So when Tyker says that she's going to work, I'm going to automatically equate work with you having sex with the men you're working with. Because that's what I have experienced. That's what I have seen. And that had nothing to do with me. And I had to realize that all the stuff he was dealing with or not dealing with, that was affecting us, that was affecting me, had nothing to do with me. And it wasn't my fault that he was getting on the way he was getting on. However, he never acknowledged that. To this day, I know he never acknowledged that. There were instances where I tried to be cordial, I tried to be friendly, I tried to be cool, I tried to talk on the phone with you and be real normal and think, yeah, we could talk, but we can't be in a relationship. We not gonna be together and them kind of thing. That's not what this is. And then but you never met me, and you hope I die. there is still um triggers and trauma within my body on a cellular level that I have to get rid of from this relationship, from this person. I know this. There's there's shit that I cannot pass on to another person. I can't do it. I really can't. And so, there's still work to be done in terms of me and my healing process. And there's a lot of things that I have acknowledged and a lot of things that I have taken accountability for within the relationship. And there are things that I have not fully dealt with. That staying thing, dog. Like, I still battle with why. Like, I know why. I know why. But going in depth with it, I really feel like getting to the bottom of it is really where it's at for me, because that that whole thing of, I'm not too sure if this person going and act up if they see me in public. And I will admit, like, I don't go out with the intention to see this person like, oh my gosh, she might be around the corner. No. I I will freeze up if I see the person in public. I don't freeze up with the thought of, oh gosh, when I go out I will see him. No. Cause no. Um but it's any moment of seeing him in public, I'm like, oh my gosh, what the hell is he gonna do? As opposed to being like, oh, look this motherfucker. Mm. you know? And the being on guard thing is where the work is for me at this point in time. The uneasiness that I feel in that in the presence of that person. And also the multiple calls thing. Like, I still had to work out that. I think that's one of the things. Has this affected relationships I've been in? Negatively, no. Positively, yes. Meaning, the lessons I learned in this relationship have helped me identify things in friendships and in dating and in relationships since then. Um, but to say it has negatively affected, no. It hasn't negatively affected my relationships. Oh yes, I did say I was gonna mention the reason why we ended up having sex. I was on an ego tip. Tykes was on an ego tip, and I wanted to be the one to initiate the sex, and I felt like, because I had had experience and he didn't, I would have a notch on my belt. And in that space, that is where I held the power, because I knew more and I had done more. And that's the space where I was the boss. I was in charge, because he didn't know nothing. you know you didn't know nothing, and this is the one place where I was in control. I was in charge. I was the boss. That didn't exist outside of that. And honestly, because I was taking the lead and taking the charge, and it was horrible. So- oh my gosh. On a scale of 1 to 5, I've had I best overall 4.25. 4.25. I've had that. He was like a 1.7. He was like 1.7. Cause I was doing too much. And not in the way that, the endearment. Oh my gosh, you doing too much. No, like I was literally doing too much. I was literally doing everything. Everything? Everything. Everything? Everything. So imagine I teach a whole day, and then when I meet up with you, I teach it. Nah, man. A little wicked or what? It's wicked, wicked. um, but yeah, yeah, there's so many things that I learned. So many revelations, and this year, as I'm entering theater, I realized that the closer I get to you, the closer I get to theater, I realize that there's so many revelations that are not going to make this transition into 30s easy. I'm like, yes, easy breezy, cover girl. Um, this is like the culmination of so many things, and I've learned so much about myself, and I've learned so much about who I am through the experiences that I have had in my life, and this is one of those things that I've never spoken about publicly. Um, but I have now. Um, and I feel honestly like a weight has been lifted from me in a way, because why fucking hide it, dog? Like, why? Like, why? You know? Yes, there's a whole host of things that I have not included in this. Um, One, because I feel like, I feel like the stories that I've shared are adequate enough. Um, yeah, and there's more platforms to share more things on. Um, but yeah, as I head towards Tuesday, I'm really proud of the progress that I've made as an artist, as an individual, as a human being. I really have challenged a lot of the status quos, and the the closer I get to realizing more and more about myself as I head towards city, it's just really eye opening, and I really am in a space of embracing these things. I'm really in a space of just reflection, and just be like, ways boy, I'd real thing in my youth boy. I'm still young, I still have plenty experiences to go. Um yes, there are things I would change. There are things I would change, but I don't regret the things that I've experienced. I really don't. Um, if you are in a space or situation that you need to get out of, please, you know, get assistance, get help wherever you can. And if you know someone who's experiencing challenges in an intimate partner relationship, I don't give advice, but just just be there, you know. That's the one thing, you know. Just be there. A lot of us suffer in silence. We don't say anything because of that element of shame. And dog, we just had to be shameless, dog. Thank you so much for listening and sharing this time with me here on Zaboca.